that's about blood tests in relation to dark field microscopy. Maybe just a quick word about myself. I've been in this field for over 15, 16 years. Because so many companies come, can it be tested? I always prefer practical things. That means if I look at the blood and nothing changes in the blood, then it's a clear sign for me that the device or the supplement or the chip just doesn't work somehow. And that's why I've specialized over the years to really train in this area. Following various topics, whether it's water, frequencies, or supplements, always checking. How does the blood change directly? And for me, that simply has a completely different significance than just putting certain things out there. Okay, history of frequency therapy. I'm just going to skim through this quickly. Because back in the 1930s, this Dr. L. Raymond Reif mainly worked on this knowledge in cancer research, discovered that with different frequencies, he could even dissolve cancer, like tumors. That fascinated me in my younger years, and I bought a huge device costing thousands of euros, ordered parts from Australia and America, and assembled and programmed it at home. It was a massive effort, but I might tell a few more stories about what I've experienced with these frequencies in my practice. Frequency therapy, frequencies, you can maybe imagine it like this. A healthy person has a healthy vibration. We know that there is a statement saying that the future of healthcare will be frequency therapy. Why? Because when an organ is in a healthy vibration, the person is healthy. When a person becomes ill, regardless of which organ it is, let's take the liver as an example. A healthy liver vibrates differently than the liver of an alcoholic. And the idea is, if I then apply this natural frequency pattern to the liver, it can bring the liver back to a healthy vibration. That's when healing occurs. I hope the experts don't criticize me now for oversimplifying. But I want to explain it in a way that a broad audience can easily understand. Where is it applied? From pain therapy to skin diseases, allergies, metabolic disorders. We've had a lot of new experiences with Borrelia. If you've maybe heard that conventional medicine immediately involved the mothers. The problem is that Borrelia, as a spirochete form, looks like a spiraled worm, and after antibiotics, it just changes shape and hides in the cell, and then it's really hard to get it out. And we do, well, those who know me, we do some unconventional things too, with chlorine dioxide and others, but getting directly into the cell is difficult, and with frequencies, actually pull Borrelia out of the cell. I just have a photo of what my device looks like. As you can see, a standing device, and with a plasma fluorescent tube, with a large amplifier, and with an 8-track frequency generator on a carrier wave. No need to explain more. Cost point between 5,000 and 6,000 euros. The frequencies can be programmed individually if you know how. 8 frequencies can be sent simultaneously on the carrier wave, range about 5 meters. But it is not mobile, it's bulky, needs a lot of space, and is almost too complicated for home users. The drawback was I had incredible success with this device. For example, with anemia patients or aplastic anemia, where the subject is also viewed as difficult both in conventional and alternative medicine, because you need to get into the bone marrow somehow. The bone marrow is responsible for blood production, and even getting into the bone marrow with anemia patients is challenging. Yeah, it's not easy from a health tech perspective. And with frequencies, I've also managed it with patients who, yeah, I had a special success. Someone came to me, I believe 12 years ago, with aplastic anemia, dismissed by conventional medicine. She got blood transfusions every 14 days, towards the end every week. It's known that the body will start rejecting, having excess iron, removing it from the blood, and eventually the whole system will be rejected. And they managed it so that she only needed blood transfusions every 3 weeks, every month, every half year. And finally, for 6 years, went without transfusions. That's what frequencies can do. I've never achieved that with anything else.
That's what fascinated me about HBQ.
Yeah, it's the possibility. To practice frequency therapy in this context.
To live and to make use of it.
Without having to lie on a couch for hours and do nothing. This means all devices that are on the market, in my opinion, and I've been involved with this for a long time, I don't know of any other, or it's unknown to me, that allows you to carry frequencies with you in your pocket. I've tested and checked all the major devices, they're all good. But the downside is you should stay lying down. Well, firstly, they cost a lot of money. You can expect between 6,000 and 14,000 euros for the good stationary frequency devices. That's the range. And that's why I was very, 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 very impressed by these two options with the pyramid and the clip to try and test them. Because as you see, the clip is almost bigger than the original, because you can carry it with you in your pocket. So since then, I've always had this clip with me in my pocket. I don't know if you can see it there. I can use it regardless of whether I'm working, watching TV, or going for a walk. I basically always have my healing frequencies with me. I can also set everything exactly to what I need. Whether I need something for the liver, the intestines, the blood, or the bone marrow. And then I can carry it with me and be continuously treated for 10 hours. That would be impossible in a clinic where I would be affected by frequency therapy from a stationary device for 10 hours. And in the end, these are the well-known frequencies from Dr. Paul Reef. Nothing much has changed, because once a frequency is discovered, why change it significantly? So it's really just about mobility. And such a clip, it has a range of 1.5 meters. So when I carry it with me, my whole body is filled with positive frequencies. And why did I test both of them? I think so. Yes, from my perspective, if you look at it in a more spiritual or energetic way, let's say in the evening when we sleep, we actually hope for different frequencies. That's why we should make sure to keep our sleeping area as free from electromagnetic smog as possible. In sleep or in waking consciousness, have another protective shield, and frequencies just have a stronger effect then. The healing balance pyramid, as you can see on the left side, stands by my bed. and has a 4-meter range throughout the whole bedroom. And I usually need to recharge the clip after 10 hours or 9 hours. And I always do it like this. I carry the clip with me during the day. Then I charge it overnight, and at night I can bathe in the pyramid's positive energy. Okay, maybe a bit more. I've listed the benefits again. So you can always carry a clip with you. The pyramid with the larger range can also be carried. It's very light, and it's not a giant pyramid. It's 15 by 15 centimeters and 7 centimeters high. So you can easily take it to work, or if you just have the pyramid. But for me, it was just this intuition to have a pyramid for the evening and sleeping, and to take the clip with me during the day. And I've had the best experiences with that. Well, as I said, performance is incredible, unbeatable. Before you just get to my dark field photos that will provide even more awareness, that aha moment, exceptional, because a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So I'll keep it brief just for comparison. This clip costs 890 euros. Yes, I think it's an unbeatable deal when you talk about stationary good frequency therapy devices costing between 6,000 and 8,000. So with a clip, just 100 euros cheaper, and I can get this pyramid for 1,490, so about 1,390. Complete care for 24 hours with. And in my opinion, that's unbeatable. 2,500 special frequency programs. People have asked me if the woman is lying next to me and I'm treating my liver, what happens to her liver? It's about these frequencies of natural vibrations. Meaning if the woman has a healthy liver, which is very difficult these days with all the toxins circulating around us, raining down from above, and in every food, you simply can't escape this environmental feeling anymore. It means the liver is very grateful if you support it daily. But just to clarify, if he really has a liver program and she has a healthy liver, then just the frequencies work with a healthy liver because they're the same. A healthy liver is like a frequency set to restore a liver to health. So the frequency just passes through, which is harmless. I think that's actually really cool, that you don't have to worry about causing harm with frequencies. If an organ isn't the right vibration, then nothing happens. Yeah, I actually see an app, not on the clip or the pyramid, but you need, the only thing, you need an Android phone. Apple will come, but you need an Android phone where you download the app and then you can set up everything you need in the app, like all the programs, whether it's for liver, intestine, or anything else. You set it all up, and then you only need to turn on Bluetooth once to transfer the programs to the clip or the pyramid. Then you can turn everything off and they'll run completely without power. The pyramid does need to be plugged in, of course, via a cable, a power cable, because there's no other way. But we have various ways to incorporate electrical protection. But for example, the clip works completely without power supply. Actually, the more important thing is that due to this vibration, its frequencies are so strong that they positively build up this electromagnetic field. You can't compare it to a clock radio, for heaven's sake. So it really doesn't matter It's just about what works without any long kawaii or needing Bluetooth. That's really crucial, because if I'm using Bluetooth all the time, need something with Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, then that's certainly not an ideal story. And this way, I only need it for transferring to the pyramid or the clip, and then I can turn everything off. I think that's sensational. You can also adjust the intensity between 10 and 100%. I always run it at 100%. I can incorporate different wave frequencies. Here's a tip for me to use both sine and square sources,
But it's explained very simply in this app.
And now to the study. And now it gets exciting, of course. What I also find very exciting, I spoke with Klaus, the inventor, and he gave me some input that is possible to do remote therapies through quantum entanglement. If I take a picture, which I've tested, then it happens that the patient, who is actually not in the room, but 100 kilometers away, experiences it. I think that's genius. After taking the blood, the body was exposed to sacred frequencies. Logically, first take the blood, then check how it looks. Of course, I've included photos in the presentation that have a wow effect. Logically, otherwise it's tough when there's already super optimal blood. How should it become even more super optimal? So I chose photos that obviously showed some change. And with this remote healing, there was something that really bugged me, because now imagine this, there's a blood sample under the microscope. So it's there under the microscope, and I'm looking at the liver islands, meaning we put a photo on the pyramid, and then it changes on the blood sample liver islands, which means healing frequencies. Click a photo of the patient onto the pyramid, but first, of course, the blood pressure and the liver islands were identified, for example. You can still see the photos as well. And the patient then goes home. I sprinkle quantum-wise with a photo on the pyramid, the patient who is lying at home, and under the microscope, the blood pressure changes. So they shouldn't notice anything yet. I mean, I've been in this scene for a long time. Now let's take a look. Frequency blood cleansing. And who should use a clip or pyramid of work on the phone? To simply use the search function when compiling programs, because it's 2,500 programs, and you don't just look for what will suit you, but you simply go into the magnifying glass, the topic you want to deal with. We can enter something like blood, and a lot of helpful stuff comes up, making it easy to put together. Okay, so we've set up blood purification. So filtered the blood. You can see really massive clumping where there's little oxygen transport with various bits in the background that could be useful, although you can't really identify them because the blood is clumped. After 3 days of information exclusively with the pyramid, and afterwards, I always changed it to see, okay, what works and what doesn't. This doesn't mean, and I say this about everything I do, this doesn't mean it's constantly accumulating, probably. It simply shows what's possible. This means if the person really deals with the problem for maybe a month, continuously with these frequencies, then it might really be that the body completely integrates it. I find that awesome. The same patient as in the previous pictures, overnight, and then worked with the clip for another 8 hours. So let's look again. So this was before, immediately after the blood sample, then 3 days informatively at night. Then you see here on the side, pretty close. And then after working with the clip again, the picture got even better. But this study is meant to show what is even possible. That's what I'm focusing on today. Inflammations, they bleed with these flitty nets. If you look there, you see these white nets in the background. Afterward, it looks like that. So mostly it's usually about 3-4 days to a week. This is my favorite photo. That really blew me away. And as I said, not much surprises me in the industry anymore, but this took me by surprise. Before, it looked like a medium-sized liver island, which was already darkening in the middle. Just for clarification, when islands form at the edge of the blood sample, they are called liver islands. That means the liver is under stress. The liver is working multiple times at 100%. And the darker it gets in the middle, there are light liver islands, like you might see in the middle there, maybe light. But when they get this dark, then you say, okay, the liver really needs support. And then I took the photo. So that was the last patient. Then I just left the blood sample on the microscope because I don't have to throw it away, especially not in a study, because I was really interested in what it did. The patient was using the pyramid on themselves. So the patient was at home. This wasn't that hospital treatment thing. Maybe I even mixed it up at the beginning. But I know that the patient took the pyramid and used it on themselves overnight. But anyway, the point is that the blood was on my microscope. That's where it stayed. That means they used the pyramid, turned it on in the evening, and I think lay there for 8 hours or 9 hours, sleeping, lying, sleeping. And then the liver cell in my blood sample in the lab shrank. So blood purification and inflammations. Earlier worked 3 days with the kid, 8 hours daily. I think pictures say more than 1,000 words. You can see blunt blood over and over again. Then these networks of inflammation. 3 days, you have to take your hat off to what Mr. Klaus achieved. Extreme clumping and parasite load in the blood. And parasites, as old Dr. Elrife always said. Anyway, parasites are always somehow involved in certain chronic diseases. They even contribute to cancer. When your energy level drops, you are essentially making yourself open to fungi, parasites, and often the stomach acid isn't that strong anymore because it's supposed to protect us. Weak people often have parasites and fungi. We all do, but with a healthy immune system, especially a healthy oral and gut flora, you keep them in check. And naturally, the weaker the system becomes, the more open it is to such pathogens. This curved part, that's a parasitic load. I have to say now that it's just a drop of blood. I won't find 1,000 parasites in it. And in the next photo, I won't find any more. That was a lie. You really have to look closely to find such parasitic appearances. Of course, if it's extremely loaded, then I might have 8 or 9 of these parts in one drop of blood. But in between, you have to search more carefully. But in the after photo, I didn't find any more. What still fascinates me is always the arrangement of the red blood cells, which is essential because, my dears, the red blood cells are responsible for oxygen transport. And of course, it also has a lot to do with blood sugar. When you're optimal, it's not all natural. But if I once have optimal oxygen supply, when the red blood cells aren't so clumped that nothing goes anymore, that no oxygen is being transported, then it would just be a big problem that I won't go downhill so much that I eventually fall into depression because I have no purpose in life anymore. When this cell glow occurs, you see it nicely in the left photo. I think almost every cell glows. I have to say, I already use photos where I know for sure that if you really drink too little water for a long time, you have a similar effect. It reaches into the blood cells. But I also always ask, you have to trust. If the patient says he drinks at least 2.5 liters of water, then it can't be, then it's just an energy deficiency in the cells. The point is that after working with the clip for 14 days, you can see that the strain, the mitochondrial weakness has really decreased, meaning the mitochondria have started working better when they are exposed to the frequencies.
And if you look into how challenging it is to observe mitochondria again, to activate or repair them, I have to say, even in cases like cancer, cancer is really such close call. I really want to comment on Andreas because he always said every disease is an energy deficiency. A person with lots of energy, what do they have? What illnesses do they seldom get? In practice, people or patients who say, I am full of energy, but 10 things are wrong with me, that happens very, very rarely. That means lots of energy, yes. Movement is connected. If I don't have energy to move, how can I force myself to move? So at some point, a vicious cycle begins. In cancer, it's definitely the case that if the mitochondria produce too little ATP, which is the energy unit from the mitochondria, and at some point it switches to fermentation metabolism. So normally we have a functioning glucose or combustion metabolism. We burn energy. We create energy from combustion. If that no longer works, it's actually an emergency program by the cell that switches to fermentation metabolism. And with fermentation metabolism, the cells can't communicate with each other anymore. Practically like a different channel on a radio. And that's why they grow beyond their limits. They no longer have restrictions on growth. One of the most important forms of therapy I have focused on is repairing mitochondria again. Repairing DNA and mitochondria, I believe, will really be important in the future. The clip or pyramid is a great base piece that really works. Now we have to wrap up. It doesn't mean it always stays that way. It just means that within a week or a quarter of a day, it's possible to reduce something like that. And then it's all about, I haven't yet. It's quite new to me, this possibility that you can almost have therapy for 24 hours. Wasn't possible before. I wasn't aware in the beginning. Now we're going to see how it follows if you really just buy a clip and pyramid and use this form of therapy over months. Once you've made the initial investment, no further investments are necessary. And I find that incredible. For me, as I said, I feel tied to supplements because I also do a lot of tests. Once I've spent it, you shake your head, it's half a house. But okay, nothing comes from nothing, but this is a one-time expense, and you can then have years of therapy, which I think is great. Thank you, dear Klaus. All right, fungi. After 2 weeks with the pyramid, I really didn't find any fungi anymore. The most effective way I know is to use high value frequencies, cell therapies, and whatever it might be, it's still affordable financially. And if you think of what you spend on a new car or a vacation or whatever, just skipping that once, you can use frequencies and health therapies on every level. I tried it once for a toothache, and it worked. I once had a stomach virus, and it worked for that too. How long and how fast, of course, depends already on how a human body is built and how quickly it responds. But I just want to positively encourage that it's possible.